Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, man. So in this video, it's going to be a recap from a networking event we just did last night. And we had about 70 people. You know what I mean? It was a sold out event. We were talking about how to build real connections in business. It was crazy. We were talking about mindset, the strategies that you need to do in your business. How do you actually go about it, right? Implementation. And then at the end, we talked about execution. How can you take what you learned to apply it into your business? This is called the Hanny Lounge networking event. I started doing this last year, giving back to the community, hosting these events for free, right? It's just my way of just, hey, you know what? I'm already doing a little bit in business. Why not just give back to some people, right? I like to call it each one teach one, right? When you get knowledge and information, how do you pass that knowledge down to someone else? And the best way to do that is going out there networking, hosting your own networking event. Thanks to Never Eat Alone, that book really transformed my mindset. It taught me that, sometimes you might have to just go create your own thing, people to come to and network. So this is what the event has been like. We've had 3 events so far. They've all been sold out. So check out the recap and stay tuned for more videos about entrepreneurship, behind the scenes. Everybody, thank you so much for coming out. This is amazing. It looks like we just keep growing every single time. This is like our 3rd event. So we just been sold out every single time. It's good to see new people and some familiar faces as well too. So if you guys don't know, this is called the Hanny Lounge. I started doing this actually last year. And the goal was really just to give people information, because I feel like there's a lack of information in our community. So, and I think one way to do that is with entrepreneurship. I truly believe in, like, if you want to grow, it's about, your self growth, right? So working on yourself and also to helping other people. So that's the goal with this. And we're building the community together and bringing people together. And ever since then, we just kind of been growing. So now the goal is to how to sort of give you guys back the information to be able to use in your business, or if you're just getting started as well too. So that's the goal. I seen someone here that said he's just coming here to learn. He's not a business owner. It's fine. You're more than welcome to come out here. This is nobody's, like, you don't have to be in your 20 years of business, which is good. But someone who's brand new is also too, you get an advantage to actually see someone like Dakota, who's been a real estate investor, Patrick and Mubarak, who's been a business owner for 20 years. And then you have David as well too. So this is going to be great. Like I said, my name is Hanny Mahari. I'm the CEO and founder of Hanny Mobile, where I'm in the buy, sell, and fix phones. So if you need phones, if you got broken phones, let me know. And I'm just a lifelong learner. I love community, I love people, and that's why I'm doing these events, to give back and, make this thing happen. So let's go. Let's do it. That's good. Yeah. So I'm going to let everybody else introduce themselves, and then we're going to get started right away.
It's okay with you guys, I won't use a mic just because I hired a coach. You got to practice not using a mic just because it's how you get to the next level of your communication skills. So if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Patrick J. Hilario. I've been a teacher for over 8 years now, mostly teaching high school and French, and that's what kind of led me into real estate investing. If you guys don't know, if you become a teacher, you have about 2 years in your university years where you are teaching full-time for free, plus you have to do your homework and your university work and your projects. So for those 2 years, I knew it was impossible to work a regular job and be able to still save money, invest, and do all the things I wanted to do. So that's what got me started into business. I knew I needed some sort of income that I could do even if I was working full-time for free plus school. That's what led me into the financial industry. I worked there for about 2.5 years, and then kind of realized that there was a lot of red tape, a lot of things that we'll actually be exploring today. Example would be putting yourself out there on social media. They would not allow me to make videos talking about how you can improve your finances, the importance of investing in real estate, getting your insurance policies, all that stuff. So I said, hey, I'm gonna do my own thing. I love what I learned in that industry, and that's what really got me into real estate investing, because later on I would have met my coach, Nelson Camp, who was also a teacher, also a real estate investor, who's taught a bunch of investors here in the city. And very thankful for him, because he's the one that, one, believed that I could do it. It's surprising, maybe, for you guys, but I was a massive introvert as a child. I struggled with really bad social anxiety to the point where I couldn't even ask someone for the time at the pool park. That's when I feel like there's an issue here. I can't become a teacher if I'm scared to talk in front of you guys, right? And especially with starting a business, you're going to learn today with all our awesome speakers how your ability to build genuine connections and have these social skills are going to be
Yo, man, Patrick is passion. Let's go.
I will use the mic. I need this coach of yours. Yeah, I'm Dakota. I've been doing real estate investing here for 7 years. Just briefly, I was going to pursue architecture in high school. I realized it wasn't for me. I dropped out, started a lawn care business, sold that business after a year, and then stepped into real estate investing. So I've been doing that for 7 years. I also am the founder of NREIC, which I started a year, similar to you, after being in business. I wanted to connect. I wanted to bring the community together. I wanted to be able to network with others as well. And that's part of what we'll probably discuss here today, is how to build those types of relationships. And that was one of the keys in my journey. And so I've been doing real estate investing, like I said, for 7 years. I do everything from, less so now, but I've done flips, I've done wholesales, I've done a couple new development projects, but not very much. It's really specializing in apartment blocks and multifamily investing now. And so that's a little bit about me. That's been my full-time thing for 7 years. Dropped out of university and started that, and that's kind of burn the ships and go all in, and that's what I've been doing now for that period of time. So.
Awesome. Yeah, for me, I have a question for you. The question is, you praying small, how many people are hurting? I remember exactly a moment when I got a call that my brother has just passed away in Calgary. I was in a boardroom with a client, and that hit me because he was very young, healthy, twins, just had twins, and in that moment, that's when that question hit me in a sense, because I had a full-time job at the same time doing a business, but honestly, I wasn't doing much in the business because I was scared, right? But when my brother passed away, I had that question, but you praying small, how many people are hurting? Definitely because they were hurting because I didn't have enough invested in helping people, because I love helping people, I love coaching people. Then that really put fire in me to start hosting events in the city, right? I say this not to brag, but I do say that I'm amongst people who have hosted many events on a regular basis, on a consistent basis than the most. Because since 2014, every single week I showed up, even if nobody showed up, right? And just doing the same thing of showing up, what to share what, maybe a shake hand, right? Because I believe that if you stay in your house, that's it. If you stay in your cubicle, that's it. Things happen when you come to places like this, right? And that's why I'm here on this planet, is to help you answer that question. Why are you praying small? Because I don't believe it. If you're waiting someone you care about to die to wake up like me, then it's a costly mistake. But keep up doing what you're doing by showing up here, and that's what I stand for. You may wonder why I didn't say my name, because I know you already know my name, so thank you.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my first time here. It's super cool. Hanny, what you're building here, the movement, I love it, and it's a pleasure to be part of it. So my name is David Owasi, and many people might know me from my LinkedIn content. I run a software company, an AI software company called Outreach Genius, where we build AI voice technology for home services businesses to take all their inbound calls. It's pretty magical. I'm sure everybody's thinking one way or the other about AI. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, how it can be a leverage for finding more connections and building more connections and getting out of your shell. And my story, I'm an immigrant, like many of us here, first generation immigrant, and I came here with nothing, like many of us here as well. And I was able to, over the last couple of years, start out my first company, which was a painting company. And believe it or not, I used to hop on ladders and paint houses. And that's how I got started. And from there, I finished my software engineering degree at the U of M. And then I've been able to take my combination of real world experience in home services as well as software engineering to build a software company now. And I'm going to be talking about how we're able to use connections to find investors, to find customers, to find employees, very talented employees. And really, it's all about, like he said, stepping out, meeting people. My co-founder, I found him at an event like this, where I just kind of met him and started a conversation. So events like this are extremely powerful if you know how to leverage them. And I think we're going to be sharing tactics and strategies for how to get people from, I don't know who you are, to let's do business together. I'm going to give you some money for your company, because that happened to me many times. And there's a technique and strategy to it, and I'm going to try my best to share some of those. Pleasure.
No, this is very good, man. I think we have different industries. We got By the way, I didn't pick real estate on purpose. It was just, I realized that every time I go out there and meet people, a lot of people are in the real estate business. And one thing that I found out is that it's one of those people business. Because have you guys never read Stephen Arnie? He has a book called Money, People, Deal. And one of them is people, right? And so meeting people is going to be very crucial. But yeah, I want to get started into, because this event is about building connections, right, in business. But I think what Patrick was saying earlier, for me, when I was first getting started, just like you, I had an anxiety of putting myself out there. Like I said, a couple years ago, I would have never done this. You know what I mean? Sitting here, having a crowd like this. So I want to talk a little bit about mindset, because I believe if you want to become successful, it's not about skill set, it's about mindset, right? And so when you guys were building out your network, because you didn't just get here, you know what I mean? It took time. So what belief did you have to get rid of to be able to put yourself out there to connect with investors? Because it's tough to go out there and tell someone to give me X amount of dollars. You have to, there's skills you got to work on. So what are those beliefs you had to work on to get where you are here building this network? I'll let Patrick start. That's a solid question.
So, a big one was to start, like, as someone who was really shy and introverted, I grew up feeling like I had to either perform, I had to be someone I wasn't, or people wouldn't invest or want to be around me, right? And that's coming from a place of lack. So I guess to answer your question real quick, so I'm going to rant on this, is I had to go from the mindset of not being good enough to, and I literally wrote this down in my journal about 2012, that people want to invest in me because I am me. It was simple as that. Like, I I had to understand everything about real estate. I had to have a fresh haircut, be the most stylish looking guy in the room. I had to get rid of all of that and instead just go from the mindset of people want to give me money for deals because of me. Wow. That's a big mindset shift that I have.
Me now. I'll use the mic again. It got passed to me. I didn't share much about my story, but I actually come from a broken family. So my dad and I don't currently have a relationship. My parents divorced at the age of 6. I moved through a lot of different high schools and had a lot of problems. So I actually, similar to you, was an introvert. I didn't want to get out. I didn't want to do any of those things. I then pursued self-development, which later kind of was what kickstarted me getting into business. But there's a few things that I've had to learn. One of them is, one thing I've realized, by the grace of God, I've been able to connect with some very big players in the city, some very affluent people, and I've realized they're actually the most humble, and they don't have any kind of, they're not trying to perform, they're not trying to put on a facade, which is something that I used to do. And honestly, they just appreciate you being real. They're also just a human on the other line, and that's a really big mindset shift that you have to have, is when you're in front of these people, they might be miles ahead of you, way ahead of you, but as long as you can just show up and be real and be authentic and try to do your best to serve them, be conscious of their time, be real with them, be raw, don't treat them like they're on a pedestal. I found that actually does the opposite. Some of you guys may know Ilya as well. I know you certainly do. Ilya and I were on a retreat a while back, and this is something that I've never shared publicly, so I'm going to do it today. But one thing I didn't recognize until Ilya pointed this out for me was that most of my life, because I had a lack of a father figure, my whole identity was in my performance. So I was not vulnerable with people. I had a guard. It was hard for people to, we should close that door. I got to bring this mic closer to me here. Yeah, I'll hold it closer here. But anyways, so I always had this sort of facade, and it didn't become apparent to me until later on. This is literally something that's developed in the last 6 months, is that people actually had a hard time connecting with me, and people sometimes said that they were nervous or whatever because I was holding such a demeanor about me. And so that's where I learned that, you want to be vulnerable, you want to share your stories, you want to just be real. And again, playing into authenticity, that's been a big shift that I've had to learn 7 years in business now. That's something that I've really, really had to learn. And it's played a detriment, and it took somebody, a friend, to really share that with me. And now I've been really building on that. And so, yeah, that's a big lesson as well.
Awesome. That's a good one. For me, vividly, I remember when I had a aha moment. I was driving a 1993 Toyota Corolla, and I was here on the corner where there's Burger King and Doralama, and I was playing my cassette of Napoleon Hill in his own voice. And he said something that I had to pull in the parking lot to rewind back to hear it again. He said, what is it that you have been trying to achieve that you can't? You have tried all the things in your life, you just almost giving up. Like, what's that one thing? Of course, I had it, right? I'm like, yeah, I have it. So guess what? I have a secret for you. So I'm waiting to write it down. I'm waiting to write it down. Then he said, go out there and help people achieve that. I was, excuse me? The same thing I can't achieve, I'm going to go out there and help other people achieve it? How is it possible, right? That brought in a curiosity, man, because I trusted the guy. He had done a lot for the personal development. Then that was a paradigm shift to understand that actually you don't need to focus on yourself. You need to focus on other people, right? So what is the greatest problem that you have currently? Go out there, find people here who have the same problem, start helping them to solve that problem. Your problem is going to go away. I know it sounds woo, but it does happen. And it has been happening for me for the last 14 years.
It's a great, great perspective. So I definitely echo everything. I'll come from a different perspective. And my perspective with relationships is, number one, understanding human psychology. Like, I read a whole bunch about understanding this complexity of humans. And one of the things that I've learned is that it's kind of counterintuitive, but everybody is obsessed about themselves at the end of the day. And one thing that I've learned is we put so much pressure on ourselves in relationships or in conversations. I gotta impress them, or I gotta do this. They don't give a shit. They only care about themselves. And once you start to understand that, the pressure drops immediately, because no one cares about your performance because they only care about themselves. And the best thing people like talking about is themselves. So whenever I go in conversations or in a relationship, all I just do, they just ask, so tell me more about yourself. Oh, that's very interesting. Tell me more. And people just open up to you. I've had scenarios where I have an hour-long conversation with people. All they did was talk about themselves. And after that, they were like, wow, that was so awesome. Of course it was awesome, because you were talking about yourself all through. So allow people to talk about themselves. If you're not quite sure, just keep asking them questions genuinely about themselves, and it's the fastest way to build relationships. The second thing I would say is asking yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? So a lot of times we're afraid to put ourselves out there to go shake someone's hand, someone who looks very impressive online, and you see them in person, you're like, I don't know if I want to talk to them. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Almost nothing bad could happen. And I find that when you put yourself in that scenario, in that mindset of, if I go talk to this person, if I send that DM, or if I make that phone call, what's the worst that could happen? They will just blow me off, and I'm just at the same point anyways. Then you're able to take the step of actually reaching out to people. And I've done a lot of cold calling. Like, when I started business, that's how I got a lot of my business. Just pick up the phone, call somebody, and talk about their problems, again, talking about themselves, and they open up with their challenges, and I'm like, oh, I can help you with that, or I can find someone I can connect you to help you with that, and then I become their most favorite person. So, round up of the point is, number one, people are obsessed about themselves. Use that to your advantage by having them talk about themselves and talk about everything about them. And the second thing is asking yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? And you find out that for the most part, it can be worse than where you are anyway, so try it out.
No, those are some great answers. I think for me, it's go back to what Mubarak was saying, like, you playing small, how many people are hurting? So what I had to do was I had to look at myself in the mirror. So like I said, I think where we are today is not, it didn't just happen. It's all experiences, it's life, right? And so like the quote was talking about personal development, one of the biggest ones was Tony Robbins, right? He talks about how everything that you're going through didn't just happen, right? It's experiences. And so I had to rewire my subconscious mind, right? And to put good things out there. So I had to work on things that, that were scaring me. So talking to people, right? So I did a lot of sales. So I had to go out there, right? I tell people, this is my product, you want to buy it? So the more you start doing that, right, you're building your subconscious because you're like, okay, every rejection that you're getting is getting you closer to getting a yes, right? Because a lot of people are going to say no to you. But also, too, it reminds me of this great quote. I think Mubarak looked at it, Alex Ramosi. He was talking about how Donald Trump, I think, remember, there was an assassination that happened like 3 months ago. But what happened after? Nobody cared, right? Because everybody forgot about the assassination. So essentially, if you're worrying about what people are going to say about you, life is just going to happen, right? Because the days are moving. So the more you reflect on what happened in the past, you're holding yourself and going to that next level, which is the now, right? And so I think if you're progressing, if you're moving towards that goal, instead of looking at what everybody else is telling you to do, or, you know what I mean? And I think as an entrepreneur, you're just like, you're self-driven, right? Because ideas come to you. Someone might tell you this is not good for you, but it's like, you're trying to do things that, you know what I mean, outside your box, essentially. And so if you have fear, the fear that's happening is just subconsciously, right? They say thoughts are things. So whatever things that you're thinking about, they're just things at the end of the day. Someone could tell you something at this networking event, but you look at it, okay, this is what he said. But if you let your mind dictate what that reality is, then that can kind of hold your self-growth. And I realize a lot of, especially young people, they want to start businesses, they want to do things, but they have a limitation. Maybe it's, like I said earlier, your past, right? Your experience that you've been through. So how do you rewire your experiences to put new things? So that's why I believe in networking, right? Meeting new people, right? Doing things that are going to scare you to go to that next level. So that's why I think if I didn't do that, then I would never be able to network or meet Patrick, you know, my first podcast, by the way, was with Patrick. I'm like, bro, I don't know how to do this stuff. I tell this guy, I gave him the mic, I'm like, how you good at this? Because he did the reps, right? It's all about repetition. So the more you do it, the better you're going to get. But if you don't start, if you don't do 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 episodes, then, you know, you're always going to tell yourself, oh, this is hard, right? But he's done the reps, so he mastered it. So for me, I had to do the reps. And then once I did the reps, I got better over time. So yeah, fear is just an illusion. It's about how do you sort of think about the future, what that's going to look like. And so rewire your past to move forward. But I want to talk about what does connection mean in you guys' industry? I know, Patrick, you're in real estate, Dakota as well too. What does that mean? Like, you know, building connections. How do you guys do it in your own industry? Mubarak is a strategic coach as well too. So how do you go about that when it comes to building connections in your industry?
I got to start this time around. Whew, I was not mentally prepared. Okay. So how do you build connection in the software space? So there are different angles to relationships. On one angle, you're looking for customers for your software. On another angle, you're looking for investors. And then on the other angle, you're looking for talented people. You need all three to come together for you to have a great product and a great company. So when it comes to finding investors, it's really hard, especially when you're somewhere like Winnipeg. Like, it's very hard to find any software investors. I actually had to fly all the way out to Hawaii and San Francisco over the last couple of months to raise money from investors. And really, the one thing that is important is being very passionate about your idea or whatever it is you're selling. People can smell your passion. People can feel your passion. It's something that you can't just, you can't fake it. So whatever it is you're doing, if you're planning on going to the software space, it has to be something that comes from a deep place of passion, whether it's a problem you're solving, whether it's whatever it is you're obsessed about. You got to find that passion. If you don't have that passion, don't do it because people will smell it. The second thing it will be when you're trying to build a relationship with customers is being obsessed about their problems. So for me, for example, I have a lot of my customers on text. Like, we text every day. They text me at like 11 p.m. at night, and I respond to them at 11:25 because I'm just obsessed about the problems that they have, because I know if I solve their problems, money will not be an issue for me, and they will refer other customers to me. So it's very important that you're very passionate. You're obsessed with the problems. If you're not finding yourself up at 2 a.m. some nights, not every night, some nights, working on the problem of your customers, then you're not obsessed enough. Now, it doesn't mean that you should do it in an unhealthy way. Sometimes I'm accused of being unhealthy in how late I work, but I am unhealthy because I just cannot drag myself from the computer because I've got to solve this problem. So when you have that relentless ability of being obsessed with the problems, you naturally will just build a relationship with your customers because you're doing things that makes their life better. And I think having those two angles really has been the way, at least myself, I've built. And we've had a lot of success, raised a whole bunch of investments. People who have been who never knew me. I flew out to San Francisco without any invitation, without knowing anyone, and I walked into some rooms and I just started talking about the problems we were solving. And people were like, that's interesting. And we got investors that way. because they saw the passion and they were like, if this guy's obsessed, maybe I should just give him money and he will figure out the rest. And people can smell that, so that has been very helpful.
Yeah, so what's connection in my circle is the one word that I was fortunate, I found it in Success magazine years ago, linchpin, right? You being a linchpin is a fundamental thing. This is something, a challenge I usually give clients. I'm like, you can walk in a room without knowing anybody in that room and walk out everybody talking about you, right? That's the linchpin. So how do you do that? And remember what I talked about. You playing small, how many people are hurting. Second, I talked about how that what's your greatest problem turn into helping other people, right? So at a network event like this, everybody who comes here, they come to what? To network, correct? So guess what? If you sacrifice yourself to be the one, the reaching pin between people, then that's the greatest. So example you like to use is, and I would like you guys to try it today, okay? You go find someone you have never met in this room. Introduce yourself, let them introduce themselves. If they have a business card, grab it. Find someone else that who you don't know again, introduce yourself and grab their business card. And guess what? Then bring them together, not you. Bring those two people you just met in the same room and say, hey, here's Mark, here's John. John does this, Mark does this. I would like you guys to connect. As you leave them two, go do the same thing to another two people, right? Do it 5 times. I promise you, you're going to walk out in that room with more connection than anything. What you just did, the law of reciprocity, you just gave them something. You connected them. They're going to want to pay back. Well, how are they going to pay you? What you want, you don't want them to pay in a room. They got to introduce to someone outside the room because now they owe you one other connection. You don't even have to say that. Naturally, as a human, we like to pay debt. Right? So that's how I define connection, and that's how practical it is to be able to build a network and do amazing things with it.
I had a thought. I lost that thought. Very good advice, though. That's definitely been something that I've tried to do a few times, and it's worked really, really well. One of them in building real connections, I believe, and this is something that I've learned throughout my journey, particularly in real estate, is, and similar to what you said, is really understanding what the person on the other side is looking for. And so, for example, in real estate, most of our deals transact off the market, meaning off market, so they're not publicly listed, which means that unless I work with somebody like a realtor and build a relationship with them, or a private owner, I may not get access to that opportunity. And so trying to really understand what they want, like what is their first priority. And what I had to learn with realtors is they don't care about me, they don't care about anything. All they want is a commission check. That is literally all they care about. I was chatting with my wife the other day because I do enough apartment blocks now. I'm like, I plan this thing out with my team and I'm like, okay, I want to start buying like $1,000 watch for a realtor when they close a deal. My wife's like, you're pissing away money. They don't care. They got a commission check. That's all they care about. And it was so true. So really understanding what the other party is looking for. The other thing that I've really learned as well is just being really easy to work with. And in some parts, like I said earlier, I've had to grow in that area, but particularly on the side where I'm dealing with consultants or dealing with investors and money partners, is I want to make their life as easy as possible when they're dealing with me. So go above and beyond. Do stuff that's not part of your pay or a part of your scope. I've done things, for example, I do consulting, and so I've got a person that I'm working with, and I'm consulting on several of their apartment blocks, and they're sewer backed up. He asked, I don't do this. He called me in to help him. I was calling different people. I was trying to get someone to help him. And I finally just said, you know what, this is getting out of hand. One of my contractors said he would do it for like $500, and now he's wanting $1,750. I'm like, I'll just go there tomorrow and clean up this sewage myself. Who the hell would be willing to do that? But I make his life easy, and so now I'm always the guy that he calls when there's a problem in his real estate. And what I've learned through that as well is I don't even create opportunity, or I don't have to try and create opportunities to grow my business because they just come to me. Because I make it easy. These people just call me with their problems. I don't even have to try and find problems to solve for them. They just come to me with their problems, and I may not even know how to figure it out, but I just say, I'll figure it out, and then I'm transparent throughout the process. hey, I'm having difficulty helping you with this, but I'm going to figure it out. And then I communicate with them through that. So those are kind of two things for me that have helped.
Nice, solid advice. Before I was thinking about sharing about real estate and how to build connections there. However, I just want to see in the room, who here is already in real estate in some way or form? Could be investor, broker, realtor, whatever. Okay. Who wants to get into real estate?
We expect all the hands to come out.
Who is a business owner?
Let's go.
Who is wanting to own a business? Okay, that's all. Okay, that helps. Okay, so this should be around it is what I do for real estate investing, especially when building a connection. But in general, whether it's for business, not business, maybe you just want connections for your personal relationships or for your own business and real estate, is you gotta remember three things. People need to know you, like you, and trust you. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat that. People gotta know you, like you, and trust you. Okay, good. With those three parts, as you put that together, that's how you'll build a connection, right? First part is they gotta know you. So when I first started, I didn't have my first deal yet. I was in school to become a teacher, and I was already coaching some people, mostly through tutoring and getting their career started. So I made a plan for 5 years. The only thing I would repeat would be, I'm a teacher, real estate investor, and coach. Just every video, every time I met someone, I'm a teacher, real estate investor, and coach. When I didn't have real estate yet, I said aspiring real estate investor. But you guys get the idea. I'm burning it into their minds of, this is who I am. That checks the spot of, do they know me? Because you got to put yourself out there, whether it's going to events like this, which you guys are already doing, which is awesome, because a lot of people just stay at home. Okay, so you're already doing something right being here. Next is, you want to take advantage of social media on your phone. Right? Everyone's probably got a smartphone. And as scary as it sounds, you will change your life if you just pick up the phone and just introduce yourself. You don't even need to do any TikTok dances or anything crazy like that. Just who you are, what do you do, right? Or who you are, what do you like to do?
Who you help?
Yeah, who you help, exactly. So again, that crossed off that checkbox of, okay, do people know you? From there, people gotta like you. Now I'm not gonna give you all these tactics on how you can manipulate someone to like you a little bit more. There's a whole industry on that. Talk about that later if you're interested in that stuff. But the key here is you want to build something real. The easiest way to make people like you is to be yourself. And remember, some people are going to reject that, and that's okay. Those people you weren't going to work with anyway. It's fine. We're humans. We're not supposed to like everyone. We'll be civil. That's cool. But start sharing what are you interested in and what is it that you do. Many ways you can do that, right? So I've been a breakdancer for 15 years. Does that have anything to do with real estate? Oh, cool, I'm going to invest in you because you can spin on your head? Not really. But by sharing that, it shows that one, I'm interested in things that I like. The people that are into the hip-hop community or breakdancing, they have something that we can talk about now. We start to share similarities. I got into DJing, same thing. I'll share about kind of difficulties or things that I had to deal with in the dating aspect. I like that kind of stuff, right? Human psychology that you mentioned, I'll share that. I'm a big philosophy nerd, I'll share that. Whatever you're into, there's someone out there that's oh, I'm into that too. I didn't know Desiree was into that. That's awesome, right? And as you do that, people will start to like you more. Not even you performing, but just you sharing who you are. So again, next box checked. So you have people know you, people like you, and the last part is people that trust you. This is where you show your competence, right? The code is very good at this. Every time he closes a deal or pays out some investors or something that does well or he solves a problem, he's posting that. It builds trust. If I'm going to do multifamily, I do mostly residential real estate, some small multifamily duplexes, but big multifamily, who has built trust over time? It's Dakota. I'm going to him for Winnipeg multifamily real estate. Same thing with you. If you're in photography or you're a realtor, show people your wins. Show people that you offer value by solving problems. Share those industry secrets. Because to us, we hold that as a secret. Let's say if you're in fitness, you will have like different techniques you can change when you're going to work out or how to make your workout more efficient. But if you share that with the world, one, it's going to build trust because you're sharing something that most people would probably have to pay for. And two, don't be afraid to share the free stuff because 99% of people won't take action anyway. A lot of people are only going to take action, either one, it's so hard in their life that they're at rock bottom, they got no choice, or they pay enough that it's painful to not take action. Right? I've coached people for free. Do you think those people actually end up closing a ton of deals? No, not really. Maybe one, or I have a rock star that's like, he just consumes all my YouTube content, just thanks me for it, and he closes deals. Rock star though, 0.001%. Everyone else, they don't value free. And that's okay. You give it out for free to build trust. That's your payment. On top of that, as an extra bonus, as you get better at putting yourself out there, giving out the free content, sharing what you do for free, it's going to start rewiring your brain and that people are going to actually be drawn to it. Right? I can tell while I'm looking at the room, I'm sharing a bunch of stuff for free and I'm not really trying to overthink, oh, what if I do something too much? Or, oh, that's a secret, you're not supposed to tell people to give out content for free. But I know that less people are on their phones right now. So I have your attention. And as you get better at in person and online, you'll start to get the little key tweaks that will allow you, again, make sure people know you, like you, and then trust you. Awesome.
Man, Patrick is passionate, and this is 100% who he is. I think you hit it on the ball, man. Like you're more than just a real estate investor. So I really like that. But I want to ask everybody here, does everybody in here know the 4 C's of leverage? Who in here knows the 4 C's of leverage? It's by Naval Ravikant. So the first one is content, right? So putting yourself out there, right? Telling people what you do, because people don't know you, then they can't build trust, right? We see Joe Rogan, the guy makes millions of dollars off advertisement. The second one is code. Right now it's automation, right? So building out tools like David was talking about, right? You can even build a standard operating procedure nowadays, build a business around code, right? So that's how big automation is. The third one is collaboration. It's people, right? You need people, right? We're in this room. You got a network. You got to be able to tell people what you do, because if you don't, then you can't scale your business. You're not going to get no funding. That's the third one. The fourth one is capital, right? So capital, everybody here knows, especially if you're a small business, one of the biggest challenges is cash flow, right? So how you can get that is from the banks, right? From people. But I found the best one is being resourceful, right? Actually giving someone the vision, like you talked about earlier, David, right? Telling them what you can actually provide and them actually giving you money. So those are the 4 C's of leverage. And for me, that's been a game changer. And when I discovered this, I'm like, wow. So you're telling me I just got to follow this framework and I'm going to build something? Another thing too, if you guys look at around the room, there's a lot of real estate investors. A lot of it is real estate, financial industry. You don't really see a lot of people who are in the phone business, right? I don't know if anybody here is in the phone business. Anybody in here? Okay, Bassam is, because I'm helping him get into the business. But here's the thing I found out, right? I do wholesaling and I also buy and sell in the phone business. I found out a lot of people in the industry they have a physical location, but they're not willing to put themselves out there or connect with people. So what I realized is, okay, I'm new to this business. How can I go faster? Well, Boyd is one of my mentors. He said, hey, listen, Hanny, you become a go-to getter for those people and you'll make a lot of money. So what did I start doing? I went out there. Nobody knew who I was. I started the business for $365. I tell people this all the time. So I went out there. I started connecting with everybody. There's about, I don't know how many phone shops in the city of Winnipeg, right? So what's the problem? You got to fix their problem to get paid. So what I knew is I had to get the product, right? I had to know how to do negotiating, right? And then supply them, right? You build trust that way. So what I started doing was I started documenting the process. So I would go out there, started creating YouTube videos, right? Telling people, hey, I just came to the shop. I just sold them 50 phones. If anybody else is looking to buy more phones, let me know, right? So the people started reaching out to me, right? The third one is the collaboration piece. I started when I started getting knowledge and information, I started giving it away for free, like Patrick was talking about, right? And I didn't just start doing this out of just because I wanted to make all the money. I realized that when I helped someone else, right, it expanded my business. And for me, I didn't just look at myself as a phone business guy. I looked at myself, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm also an author as well too. So these are things that I had to find out that, okay, I can actually do this. The only way I had to find out, I had to get started, right? And I think that's the biggest challenge people have is that, here's the biggest one. I wrote an ebook last year, and Mubarak was helping me out. So using AI, ChatGPT, David, this was last year, 2023, I believe, 2 years ago, I think. And I had no idea how to put this book out. I'm like, nobody in my industry is doing this. Nobody's talking about these things that I'm doing. I'm doing wholesaling. I found out how to have the Facebook marketplace. I knew how to get so many people to look at my content. So I'm like, how do I monetize this? I'm like, so nobody's going to read this book though. How much should we price it? Mubarak tells me, just put it out there in the marketplace and you find out how much you can charge. Because what's the thing there? People are going to buy if you give them value, right? So don't dictate it on the price, because the price is always, that's the biggest challenge. Oh, how much should we charge? But put the product out there, let people decide if it's good or it's bad. I started doing that, and that became a guide for people that want to get into the business. So now you have people like Bassam, there's other people who too I've been able to mentor. This is all because I realized it comes down to people, and it's about, can you expand your knowledge? Because I found out too, if you want to master something, teach it, right? If you want to master anything, if you can teach it. So I realized, I'm like, yo, let me just start getting into coaching. I'm already good at this stuff. Started putting myself out there. As I started helping students, I got better. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's that thought that I had to tell myself I can actually do this. So, but you have to put yourself out there. You got to be able to get into these rooms. And unfortunately, a lot of people have a scarcity mindset, right? They feel like, oh, if I tell this person this, they might not buy my product. If I tell this, but I realized, like Mubarak was saying, one of my favorite books is, funny enough, I came across it because he left it somewhere at a networking event, and I ended up grabbing it after event. It's called Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. If you guys don't know, on the email list, I talk about how that book changed my mindset. It literally, it told me that, like Mubarak was talking about, when you connect someone else to something, you things come back to your business, right? So I started going out there, connecting with real estate investors, people in the industry, and I realized, okay, if I connect with that person, and then if I don't get nothing from them, but if I can connect them to someone else, they got so much benefit, right? Because for me, it's not about, what's in it for me. It's about how do I help someone else, right? Get what they want. And then if things come back to me, good. It's about abundance mindset. Because you can't always expect things to come back to you, right? I think we're always looking to like, oh, how much money am I making off this? But it's like, just put things out there in the world and let things come back to you. So I think that's how I look at business. And a lot of people don't really have that kind of mindset. And I try to put it out there. I tell people come out here and network, especially in my industry, but they don't want to do it. They feel like, oh, I'm too busy. But it's like, you have time, bro, right? And if you're not using your time properly, then you're most likely wasting it. So that's how I look at it. And I'm just a big believer in that. And that's been over to see my eyes open the world for me, and being able to meet Robel, being able to meet Dakota and Dave and so many different people in this business. So just because I didn't put myself as a cell phone business guy, I said I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a lifelong learner. I want to learn from people, right? Not just put myself, okay, I'm just phones guy. No. Now people look at me like, oh, you're the podcast guy. I'm not the podcast guy. Well, okay, I'll take it, bro. Oh, you're the guy who does the event. Someone told me you're the host. I'm like, yeah, because I decided I'm not just a cell phones guy. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an author. Right? So you stop putting limits on what you can do, right? Reach for the sky. And that's kind of where I believe in. And that's how I got here to the stage. So, yeah. Yeah, so I want to go a little bit into strategy. I think once you develop your mindset, now it's about how do you take what you learn, what you've been able to do, how do you apply it in your business. So I want to ask you guys, what's one practical thing you did early on that helped you grow your network? Like what's one skill or strategy that you've been able to sort of implement that's sort of made you different than everybody else in the market, essentially?
So that's a good question. So whether you're new in business, already in business, new to real estate, already in real estate, one thing that's going to drastically change your ability to just meet new people is to go out minimum 2 times a week, right? You can choose events like this, you can, right? But it doesn't have to be. Just go somewhere, become a regular somewhere. Even in your busiest season. Okay? So there's a time where I was doing 4 deals at a time. I had 6 live students that I was coaching on a day-to-day basis, not just once per month. Plus, I was traveling to a bunch of different cities, just trying to meet the best coaches I could meet. And my coach was just hammered down. Doesn't matter how busy you are, 1 hour each time, 2 times a week, you're going out, and you're just meeting people. Not trying to transact, not trying to do deals, you're just going out. And the easiest way to do this is by being real and trying to have fun. For myself, I like to crack jokes. I like to just do weird random dances. If you see me out in public, I'm probably not going to be like this. right? Be a little bit more unprofessional, let's say, just be cracking jokes and having fun, but it's because I'm there to, one, be seen. Okay? You want to be seen because how are you going to put yourself out there and make connections if you're afraid to be seen? And two, it's going to get you comfortable just meeting people. As you meet those people, you guys are strategists. That was a question, right? Yeah. So you'll meet someone in real life, and you want to get the contact info. You want this to be social media, not just your phone. The reason for this is you want people to have access to your phone number only when you've already built that connection. It's like you're making a filter. I don't want everyone to have my phone number, right? But social media is a little bit more open. So I like to use Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Sure, I use it, but it doesn't really work for this. Instagram and Facebook's gonna be great. You get their info, and you get their contact. So now you have the follower. From there, you're gonna be posting on your story specifically. The reason for that is it can disappear, and I know a lot of you guys might still be scared to post something that's gonna stay there forever. That's fine, right? Post a story, and what you wanna post are, again, things that you like, things that are fun, and then also go back to those events. You're gonna be going out once to twice a week anyway. And all you're gonna do is, it's called a CTA. All my marketing people know what this is. It's a call to action. You're like, hey, I'm going to the beer can after I'm done here at Table Space, and come hang out. We can chat, we can hang out, talk about real estate, whatever it is, or let's just vibe out. Okay? You're inviting people there. The key there is, it's gotta be something you're doing anyway. You're not doing this to try to get connections. This is just part of your life, part of who you are. From there, it's got to be something they can leave at any time. You don't want to do like 18 rounds of golf with someone and invite them there. It's really hard for someone to convince themselves to go. But if they can go, hang out for 5 minutes or 2 hours, whatever, and then they leave, awesome. So now you had meet new people, you got them on social media, you're inviting them out, you're doing the CTAs, and the people that show up, those are the people that you invest a little bit more. The reason is, they're a little bit more open to investing in you. They've shown up, right? From there, that's where you're really getting to know them, and you're going as deep as you can. At that point, then you can just quickly ask, hey, like, what obstacles are you running into? And the last strategy I want to give you guys is just a little bit of a framework to have these conversations. So you ask them, what are their goals? People love talking about their goals, like David said. They love talking about themselves. What are their obstacles? What's difficult for them in their life? Anything else they need help with? Then you ask, okay, well, how much time do you have to work on this? And then finally you ask them, okay, if you can help with your business and your opportunity, awesome, offer it to them. Don't be afraid to give an offer because the world is begging you to offer them a solution. They might just be shy, right? That's fine. Or if you can't help them, that's okay too. Be the connector, right? Be that person that, because you've been meeting all these people, you know that you can connect them to, let's say, David. They need AI help. Awesome. Oh, they want to do multifamily. Connect them with Dakota, right? As you do this, you're hitting all those boxes of getting people to like you, know you, and trust you as you've made this part of your life. This is also going to make your social skills way easier, right? Because you're getting practice in. When I started, my voice was not like this at all. Again, practice, like Hanny said, makes perfect. And as you get better and better, now, as you notice, in the beginning of the session, was my energy a little bit lower or higher? Lower. It was lower. But now I'm getting into the groove. Now I'm getting feedback. I know what you guys are listening to, what you're paying attention, what do you guys need, and then now I can give more as the energy comes through. Does that make sense? Perfect. Yes. Awesome. So first part, what do you got to do?
No.
You gotta go out. Once, twice a week. Yeah, go out. Get out of your room. Number two, then what? Invite, get their social media, get their contact. From their social media, then what do you do? Invite them, use stories, show them things that are interesting. You're going there anyway. Awesome. From there, when they come out, what do you do? Connect with them, exactly. Go deep, spend time with them, invest in them, find out what they're into, problem, solve it with them. And then finally, last part, you just put it all together. Rinse and repeat, CTAs. Awesome. Awesome.
I'm just going to pass the mic down because I think he answered it all. Mine's really simple. Go and build your own community. I'm just kidding. But truly, that's actually what has really helped me. However, saying that, if you can attend these events and help these people that are out there, it's a ton of work. So applaud to you, man. It's a lot of work to do this kind of thing. And oftentimes you don't get thanked as much, you don't get recognized as much. It's a ton of work. So if you can go out and help these people build these communities and make a name for yourself in that way, but additionally, one kind of really easy way is this guy went and gave you guys an entire framework. If you're attending an event like this, which you guys are here, and I'm assuming that you guys are attending other ones. I know Ken's at like every event. And so he needs to expedite his ability to network, right? He can't come here and take 70 business cards or whatever and then have 70 coffee meetings. I mean, this guy's got real estate, he's building a business, he's farming, he's got a lot of other stuff on the go. And so one thing I've always done is I've tried to two things is know who you are, right? We've talked about this, is get clear. What are you doing? Who are you? What are your beliefs? What are your values? What do you stand for? Get real, get familiar, know it, and be very, very clear, right? You need to be able to deliver that time and time and time again in like 30 seconds or less. Because you're going to get stopped somewhere and somebody's going to ask. I mean, I was in a coffee shop and a woman complimented the way I dressed. She thought I was from Europe, and all of a sudden she's a doctor and she's asking me for a business card because she wants to explore investing with me. I didn't do that. I was just me, and I was just like, here I am. I'm in a coffee shop. I like coffee. And but I knew what I did, and I told her in 30 seconds or less, and something hit off there. The other thing is similar to what you said, right, is bringing two people together. So something I like to do when in these rooms, and I haven't done this yet tonight because I got here a little bit later, but just get really quickly with somebody, just ask them, what brings you out, and how can I be of value to you? What are you looking for? But ask that question, how can I be of value to you, right? Because that's an open-ended question. You're not directly asking them, what's your goals? What brings you out? Because it can get surface level. When it's like, what is the problem that you're trying to solve tonight? And maybe it's not a problem, but what are you looking to get out of tonight? And when oftentimes people will tell you, well, I want to start my business, so I'm looking for this specific thing, or potentially you've got a problem that you're solving and you know that there's other business owners that might be able to solve it. If you say that, and then for example, I now take two people and bring them together, but they're two people that, i.e. this person who's got a problem and this person that I know can solve that problem, guess what? These two people met because of me, but furthermore, I didn't even have to solve the problem. This other person solved that problem, but now these two have a story, and I'm at the center of that story, right? And so now you build loyalty, you build familiarity, you build a story, and now these people are crafting a story about their experience with you, and all you did was in 30 seconds or less, you approached them, you asked them to introduce themselves, and then you introduced yourself in 30 seconds or less, so now you're in like a minute, and then you quickly ask them, so how can I be of value to you tonight? And you get that answer, and then you go make that connection. That's how you bump through 50, 70 people, whatever, in an evening. And you're not doing it to collect their business card. You're not trying to give them your business card, but you will be remembered and you'll be at the center of that story. And that is what is going to impact them in that evening, right? It's not just shaking hands. It's not just meeting people. It's not necessarily hearing the speaker. It's the fact that they were able to come somewhere with a problem and you solved that problem. In fact, you didn't even solve it. Somebody else did, but you made that connection.
Wow. Bombs are dropping like nobody's business. Yeah. Amazing. Wow. I don't know what can I add, but what I wanted to add, funny, is that what you just mentioned, how powerful it is. And to me, it has become a habit, even to the people that I know, to testify about it. What did I ask you? Did I not ask you the same question he just said? I walked in here, we started talking, I'm like, how can I help you? I can't help it to ask that question. It's a magic question. And listen what I did. I asked her, how can I help her? Do you know what happened? She helped me. Guess who's going to be on another panel next weekend? Me. Honestly, it just happened this room right now. So what you're hearing here is not just gimmick. It's things that we do. Let me speak for myself. This is what I do for a living. So it's going to change your life beyond your wildest dreams because it works. Just pick few of those things, especially that question. If you want it, any strange person has something they're looking for. Remember what I said? What is it that you want? Go out there, start helping people. Because everybody has something. So if you go out and ask them, it's going to happen. But here's something funny. Me and her, we have known for a long time. She's my family photographer. In 2020, she took a family portrait for me and my family, right? But things happened, she got lost. But then I started helping Hanny, asking the same question. Hanny, how can I help you? I helped Hanny. Hanny brought her back in my circle. You see what he's talking about? So these things works. Miracles. What I want even to add power to that is just to make you even more curious on this. My answer is going to be in the curiosity itself. Is how I became co-owner of Table Space. You know, I wasn't looking for Table Space. It has been here for 5 years in Winnipeg. I have never been in this place. The first time I stepped in this place, I was a co-owner. To what I told you, just from two strangers that I never knew, that I introduced to each other, almost 10 years later, it came back. They talked behind my scene. They brought me in a conversation. And here we are today enjoying this. Hanny talked about if there is any secret I want to tell you, this is it, my strategy, and I live it. Never eat alone. Your happiness, your sorrows, your hardship, never eat it alone. And I mean it. I have been fortunate for almost 20 years. I have been cruising and enjoying everything. And then guess what? God brought another challenge in my life. My wife suffered something that she ended up being in a coma for 2 months. As we speak right now, my wife, she's in the hospital. But I'm here. I'm not getting paid by Hanny because I'm doing what I love. And because I have answering that question, you praying small, how many people are hurting? Me being at the hospital and you guys being here and needing me to share something that can change your life, I'm being selfish. Because my mother-in-law can be there and I can still be here, right? So there is an event coming up, Never Eat Alone. You can see around the corner. I've been hosting this event since 2014. It has evolved over time. That girl there, I met her in 2007 in Uganda. In 2007 in Uganda, she was 11 years old. Right now, she's a CEO of multinational companies in Africa. Because of what I just told you, how can I help you? She was able to fly back from there to come see my wife. That's what brought her to Winnipeg, to see my wife. Now she's speaking here on weekend, Saturday. It's a Never Eat Alone. But guess what? From that day I met her in Uganda in 2007, I can connect event by event, being a linchpin to today without missing one single event. And if you really want to know the power of all of it, come on Saturday. I'll show you how that woman just helped 100 families have houses in the city here. 100 families because of showing up. So that's it. Never eat alone. The good, the bad, the ugly, that's my strategy. Don't eat it alone.
Dropping fire. Love it. Okay, so I'm going to talk more tactical about how to use technology to build relationships. So my fellow panelists have been gracious to share a lot of their knowledge on more of the strategic things and what to do. So I'm going to share a couple of tools, and you probably want to write this down. So the first one I will share is a tool called Boardy, Boardy. And what Boardy does is an AI-powered tool. You talk to the tool like it's an AI agent, AI voice agent. You talk to the tool about yourself, your profession, your work, who you're looking for, and hundreds of thousands of other people in the world are talking to that tool as well about themselves, their profession, who they want to connect with. They're looking for investment, they're looking for clients, etc., etc. And what the tool does, as you guys know how AI works, is it kind of access, okay, this person is looking for this person, that person is looking for that person, and the tool, the AI, will connect two people who are looking for different things on different parts of the world without them having to meet each other, because there's a mutual interest in what they're looking for. So if you want to meet like investors for your company, customers, etc., or just meet cool people in the world, that's a great tool to use. So Bordy, it's an amazing tool with AI, and you just speak to it, just talk to it, and call it. And the more information you give it, the better the people it's going to connect you with. So that's number one. I use it all the time, so definitely want to use it. Number two is a tool, creating content. So I know we've talked a lot about levers of leverage, and one of the levers of leverage is content creation. Now, I can't even tell you how big creating content is. Like, you're not creating content, it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot almost. Like, content is so huge. When I was looking for investors for my company, I have a couple thousand people on our email list, and I just said, hey, I'm looking for investors. And I had like a couple of people just DMing me, hey, let's talk business. And these are like people who are just lurking behind. I forgot they were even on my email list. But because I was nurturing and creating the content every single week, I create like 3 to 4 pieces of content every single day. A couple of you are on my email list. They read all my content. But when you create all that content, you're not obviously selling to people every time you create content. You're trying to add value, you're trying to be helpful. And when you do need something, you just see all of a sudden people show up for you because they know you. Like he said, they like you, they trust you, they know you already. And once you did something, they're like, I got you. And that helps a lot. I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars from investors just by them listening to my content. And the funny thing is, like, people just like hit me on my DM, and I say, hey, let's do a deal. And they're like, yes, right away. I'm like, that was so easy. And then I ask, why was it easy? Oh, I've been following you guys. I've been following you for like months. I've read all your stuff. I feel like I know you head to toe, and I don't even know them, but they know me because of content. But the bigger problem is, how do you create content? How do you use AI to create content? How do you make content creation easy? So here's my own framework. Now, this works for me, might not work for you, but hopefully it helps. What I do is every Saturday and Sunday, I unplug from like the business of the week, and I basically just think about, what do I want to communicate the next week? What do I want to talk about? And I think about it from the standpoint of stories. What stories do I want to tell? Because no one likes to be lectured to. People want to be entertained and then learn something from the story. So I think about what happened during the week, what was a failure I ran into, what was an exciting thing that happened to me, or what story could I tell that someone could actually learn a thing or two. And then once I'm going about my day, doing chores, whatever, playing with my kids, and then once I will usually come up with like 3 to 4 or 5 ideas, and then I write them in my app, my phone app, on my notes. And then what I then do is on Sunday nights, which is when I create all of my content, I open up ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT has like the audio thing, right, where you can speak to it. And all I just do is I just talk the story, and I tell the story to ChatGPT, and I say, okay, now take this story, recreate it, find me like 5 variation of hooks, and I just talk to the AI to bring my story to life. And it takes me a couple of hours. The hard work though is like really thinking about the story and what you want to communicate. But the writing part of it and they putting it together, super easy with ChatGPT. Of course, you can use any other Gemini, whatever that you prefer. And for me, that's how I'm very consistent creating content using technology. I focus on the idea and I let AI do the rest of the work. Now you can do the opposite. You can go to AI and say, give me content ideas, because you're going to stand very generic and no one is going to like it. It's not going to do well. So that's the second part. The third thing I will share in terms of tactic is, if you want to connect with people, sometimes the people you want to connect with are not people in your network, or you don't even know anyone that can connect to those people, or you're trying to find like a very hidden gem of people. So for example, in my company, we serve home services businesses, plumbers and roofers, who are missing calls due to their staff just being busy. So I wanted to find a way to find companies that have bad Google reviews, and the reviews are about people who are complaining that they called their office and no one answered. How would I do that? That's like a very hard task. But there's a tool. There's a tool called clay.com, CLAY.com. And with clay.com, I can build a workflow. And what the workflow does is it goes to a local city, state, anywhere I want to. It scrapes all of the Google reviews for certain businesses based on certain criteria, how big they are, etc. And it uses a large language model, AI, to review all of the reviews and isolate the ones that meet my criteria, which is people who are unhappy because they didn't get someone calling them back. And then I use the tool to then do an enrichment where I find those companies, I look at their Google review, I find the Google reviews that are bad, and I find the company's owner or the person associated with, whether it's head of operations or head of customer service or any sort of relationship, any sort of a role that will be in charge of talking about that. And then I use the same tool to then find their contact information and now I give it to one of my team members and say, okay, call this 100 people. They obviously are doing something very bad and they need our product because they got a lot of people in their Google review complaining. So Clay.com is a very, very powerful tool that can allow you to like build very custom and unique audiences that are tailored to your requirements, and then you can even use AI to create like the email copy or the LinkedIn copy to reach out to them. So hopefully those 3 tactics helps in creating content, in finding random people around the world to connect with Bordy, and then of course in using Clay to build random curated custom lists. Hopefully that helps.
David just gave us all the strategies. I hope everybody wrote that down. No, this is remarkable. So almost at 8 p.m. So I just want to do like a quick 5-round questions, and then we're gonna get into Q&A at the end there. So a 5-round questions that I want to do is I want to ask everybody like, what's one connection that changed your life? Start off, anybody. One connection that changed your life. Yeah.
Cheat and say my wife. Well, I think that's a cheat. I don't like him.
Yeah, funny enough, the one relationship that changed my life, it's my grandfather. Okay? Because, sorry, I'm getting emotion. In the times where I was, because where I come from, my mom's country, Rwanda, there was genocide, and many people had died, and things had happened that due to conflicts, my dad was in the jail, so I didn't have a father at some point in my life, and we didn't have anywhere to go, so we ended up going to my grandfather, right? And I saw this man who, yes, I was his grandson. Apart from that, though, he had no other reason to do what he did for me, right? And what he did, he would bring me to his store. He had a storefront store, and he would make me package sugar. Like he would get a big sack of sugar, and he would make me break into 1 kilo of thing. And then after I finished packing it up, and he would tell me to sell it. I was like, what? Literally, for many, many years, I hated him for it, right? But what I didn't know at the time, he was giving me some of the skills until today I'm still using. And funny enough, a woman who helped me uncover that story, she's a woman you guys may not know her. If you come here, you'll see her on Saturday. Her name is Linda, another strange person who walked at my event. Literally, this Linda walked into my event the way you guys walked in here, helped me uncover the foundation of everything about me, about my grandfather. So that's the person.
So for me, there are many fantastic answers, but the one that comes to mind is one of my mentors who helped me make my first $1 million year. So when you make 7 figures, it kind of breaks your frame of what's possible, because making $1 million in a year feels like, oh, so big and possible. And then when you break it, you're like, oh, that was actually not that bad. Like, it was not that difficult. And like, okay, how can I do 2, 5, 10, 15, 20? I mean, I've not done $20 million, but I'll do that at some point. But one of my mentors, the way he helped me make that money was, there was a government program where the government would pay a bunch of agencies to help companies become more digitally advanced. So he was the one who introduced that program to me. I've never made money that easy in my life before. Many people can have some criticism about the government giving money, but we actually did some very good for a lot of businesses. But what that experience taught me was the path to making a lot of money is actually based on leverage. It's not based on how many strong hours of work you can put in. It's based on how you can use leverage to get your outcome, or to help people get to get the outcome. So for me, once I learned that lesson, we made that 7 figure that year. I've never made below that since then, but it break my frame of, okay, how do you think about combining solving people's problem, but in the most efficient way possible, so that you can actually make money? So for me, that was huge for me, because all of a sudden my mental frame of making it 7 figures broke, and I've not gone below that since then. So that was very helpful.
Awesome. So you've heard a few about business. I'm a Christian, and so I just want to give glory to God For me, I haven't always been a Christian, so I come from a broken family, like I said, which is kind of what triggered me going into business. I wanted to build something for myself. I wanted to build something for my family. One of my biggest things is I want to basically break generations of family challenges and problems. So even to this day, I don't have a relationship with my dad. My mom's relationship and I mean, it's great. It's not super tight. My wife's family, on the other hand, they're Christians, and well, it's amazing. But having said that, for me, through this entire journey is becoming a Christian and using God. It's a weapon in business. I can put all of my faith in Him. Anything that goes wrong, any circumstances, any attacks, I realize they're not to me, they're not against me. And so for me, that's been, practically speaking, I've got mentors, I've got people in their 80s, 90s that meet with me for breakfast and that I can just build all kinds of stuff with. But at the end of the day, it's God, and I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a question about how to use that tactfully, but for me, that's been the biggest relationship, especially coming from a broken family. And I mean, I've achieved some level of success at my age, and so I realize that I don't care about any of that anymore. It's the people. It's what I can do for others. It's letting go of all that. I mean. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me anymore. I drive a 2008 Toyota Camry. It's dented because a cyclist hit me. It's parked out there. I really don't care. And so, yeah, I just want to give glory to God in that. And that's been the connection that's truly helped me.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. Oh yeah, okay. You don't use a mic, Patrick. Yeah. Go ahead, bro. Yeah, what one connection came to life?
Yeah. So
one
big
connection
would be Johnny, who bullied me in grade 7. I'm just kidding. No, the biggest one is probably my mentor, Owen Cook. He mentored me since I was like 16. He's the one that helped me build the social skills, have the confidence, get rid of the social anxiety. And then without him, like, building a business would have been impossible, meeting like my wife would have been impossible, traveling all to these different places and just getting out of my comfort zone. He was the one that just poured everything into me, and then I had the fortunate opportunity to meet with him, and we trained in Miami together, and it was a blast. It was very different from any other mentorship that I've gotten, less of like just lecturing and talking, but we would be out every night until like 5 a.m. in Miami and just practicing things, meeting business owners, just practicing social skills. He's the one that gave me that funnel I shared with you guys. I made some changes because he uses it a little bit differently. But yeah, he's been a game changer. I call him my internet dad.
No, I really like that everybody has a mentor. And then Dakota said God. I think that's the biggest one. I think if you connect with God, the world expands. For me,
Not cheating. God is everything.
Yeah.
Right? And you're right. There is nothing, even my grandfather, without God Himself, nothing would have been even able to be a grandfather to without Him, right? And yes, I give you kudos. You chose the best one.
No, for me, it's going to be when I found a mentor. So he's right over there, Mubarak. Without him, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I would be where I am today. So talk about helping people. And how I met him is, they say the universe, it aligns. It makes things happen. 2023, I was working as a DoorDash driver. And funny enough, my friend over there, Thierry, me and him go way back since we were kids, So I was driving to Go Here restaurant. You guys know the one on downtown there. And I walked in. At the time, I was in the stock market. I was eager to sort of get out of my box. So when I walked in, I saw Thierry. I'm like, what's going on, man? How you doing? It's been a while. And at the time, I was sort of isolating myself. I was locked in. When I met him, I saw Mubarak there. I'm like, oh, you guys, you know this guy? And he came up to me. He's like, hey, man. He's like, tell me a little bit about yourself. Same thing. Like, how can I help you? And then he's like, I told him I'm in the stock market and I'm looking to go out there and network with people. And he's like, tell me a little bit about your psychology. And I'm like, what? Psychology? Why do you want to know that? You know what I mean? Because most people, they're going to ask you, oh, you make money doing this? What do you do? And stuff like that. But he was wanting to find out my psychology, understanding how am I actually making money in the market and what are the strategies that I'm doing? What are my disciplines? What are the habits that I'm setting? So then I was very curious. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to drop my food and I'm going to come back to see you guys. And then that day, I literally had a shift. I stopped my shift. I came back. And when I sat down in that chair, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this stuff exists? We're talking about Jim Rohn. We're talking about entrepreneurship. Because before that, I was isolated. I spent 3 years trading the market, investing. I didn't know nobody who were talking about this stuff. So when Mubarak started talking, he told me, read this book, read that book. I started getting curious. I started asking more questions. And ever since then, me and him have built a relationship. He's like a brother, but at the same time, any problem that I have, I'll tell him about it. Because here's the thing. Growing up, my mom was a hard worker, right? She always installed it, you have to go get her, you gotta hustle. But there was a point where I couldn't really tell her the things that I'm doing because she would tell me things like, oh, just go get a job, go become a doctor, right? So there's always that gap. But with him, what I found out is that I can tell him things that are crazy. He'd be like, go and do it. Why can't you do it, right? But then I had so much self-belief that I had to get rid of, right? There was so much programming that I had to remove, And so he sort of showed me the other side of go try it. So every time I would ask him a question, funny enough, you guys never ever have a mentor, it's more about access, right? So like Patrick was talking about, he can tell you how to do a million things, right? But he's going to guide you. He's going to give you that little nugget. You have to go and execute it, right? And that's one thing that I found out. He told me to go read this book, Never Eat Alone. I read it. I started applying it, and then things started happening. So a mentor is not going to, kind of give you everything. He's just going to tell you what to do, and he's going to look at your mistakes that you're making, right? He's going to keep you accountable. And I think a lot of times nowadays, especially as an entrepreneur, and you have your own business, you can't just wake up and, you don't know what you're doing, right? You got to be able to sort of know what you're doing. You got to have a plan, right? And when I'm messing up, when I'm making mistakes, I reach out to him. I'm like, Mubarak, what should I do here? You know what I mean? Also, too, for these events, he's the one that was telling me, connect with that person, reach out to 100 people, do this, right? So there's small little details that he was already doing for the last 15 years that he told me to go do. Because if I didn't have that, right, if I just, sat there, nothing wrong with my mom, she installed a lot of things into me, but she wouldn't have never exposed me to that. So I think it's very important to sort of, the universe, like I said, makes things align. If I would have never walked in that day at the DoorDash, I don't know if we would be here because I would have never met Mubarak. And after that, I was able to, so that day when I came, he told me, hey, listen, you want to network with people? Okay. And then when 1 month I have an event space that's going to be opening up, it was another place on Sargent. He's like, come there and we're going to meet and I'm going to connect you with entrepreneurs. I met people like Robel, me and Pajak. There's so many people that I met, Thierry, and so Jason as well too. So there's people that I met in that community, right, Tabara as well too. So I met so many people because he opened that door for me, right? He gave us the access to community. And that's what we're looking to build out here in Table Space. I honestly believe if you want to go fast, you can't do it by yourself. You need people, right? You need a team. And so that's something that I've really been taking in, and I realized that how can I mentor the next person? So whatever Mubarak did to me, whatever he helped me do, how can I help someone else do the same thing so he can do the same thing I'm doing right here and start out these events, you know what I mean, and have people talk about entrepreneurship. So you need mentors, because without people like him that can see the gift in you, right, you can always be like, oh, I'm doubting myself, I'm doing this. But it's like, if you can see that, oh, you have this potential. I grew up, I was an athlete, first of all. I've always sort of, I've had the skills, but I never had the discipline or the work ethic. So when I put the two in together and I just, dominate, right, because I want to win. And I think everybody in here wants to win. I think nobody wants to become second place unless, you're in the race. But I think if you want to win and you have someone that wants to win, like Mubarak, right, who was driven, right, who has a family, so you take those and you apply them. And I think a lot of young people too, nothing wrong with social media. I think you could see someone, they're making millions of dollars. I was sending this to Mubarak. I'm like, these people are talking about making all these dollars, but you don't see the back end, who they've actually had to get access to. They have mentors, right? I was watching one guy, he said he wire transferred someone $50,000, right, a mentor of his, right, to get one single information, and that changed his life. Right? And so if you're not willing to invest into yourself, into your knowledge, you're never going to go far. And I've been able to, fortunately, get that ROI and, not help so many people do the same thing like he did for me. So that's the biggest one. And then, like I said, the second one is my mom. I think I kept talking about my mom. But yeah, she's been the biggest one because without her installing that mindset, that work ethic, you gotta want it, right? Especially being an immigrant, we don't really have, I like to call, we have communities, but there's a lot of, I grew up in the North End, so I've seen a lot of crazy things. So my mom always told me, become a basketball player, at least get you become a doctor. She always told me to get out of those environments, right? So without her, I don't think I would be here. So you talk about how God saved you. So that's kind of what I would tell you is find people and be around people that are like-minded people, and you're gonna go so much further instead of wanting to be home. And because I realized that that's never gonna get you nowhere. But find people that are like-minded, people that are in your industry, people that are not in the industry, and tell them, hey, how are you doing this? Just go up to them and see if you can get mentorship or your help. That's how you expand the world.
Thank you again. As you had how I met Hanny, it's not me, it's God. God made it happen. But I remember making a promise to him, right? Because when he came to that first event, he said, I want a place where I'm not going to be judged because I'm a kid or because of who I am and everything. I want a place where I can be myself. And I promised him, okay, I'll create that space for you so that you can feel yourself. But at the same time, I made another promise. I said, honey, if you keep doing what you're doing, there's nothing I'm not going to be able to do for you, right? So he started hosting event at old place. And things like in any business, things didn't work out. From a business point, not anything else, just it was logistics, things didn't work out. Now, we are homeless. Me and my community, we are homeless, literally. But I had made a promise to Hanny. This I have never told him, by the way. It's the first time I'm expressing it here. Then I was talking to my wife. I'm like, I made a promise to this young man here, Hanny, because he had been in my home. He has holding my kids, which is they're dear to me. I don't anybody just come to my home, but because how close we are, he came to my home, and so my kids know him and everything. So I made a promise to him, right? And guess what? My wife, as a superhero she is, says, go fulfill it. I'm like, holy cow. So where am I going to find a space for Hanny to host events? Literally, that was on my head. And then when table space came, that's only thing I was negotiating. I was negotiating that, hey, I want my community, I have my own events, but them too to be able to host events. Okay? Then I went back to Hanny. I'm like, Hanny, you remember what I promised you? He says, yeah, but Mubarak, but you promised me, but now I don't have a place. Now people are asking me to hold a base. I told him, guess what? I got you a space. He couldn't believe it. But when you talk about mentorship and anything, it comes down to ethics, integrity. Because all these things you have been shared here, if you don't have integrity, it means nothing. So when you're building a relationship, be a man of your word. He mentioned somewhere when you guys didn't get it, when he said that he couldn't find anybody to do it, he had to come and clean the sewer. He said it. That's being a man of his word. Guess what that means to me? Like, I can have his back, and I know he's going to have my back. Right? So I just wanted to know that that's what I'm saying. Hanny, he has my back because here he's talking this and he's bringing you guys here in our new space. But he knows it, that any time of the day, I'm going to pick up his phone because of that bond that we have been able to create. So Hanny, thank you. But we're still looking for more Hannies here, right? This is your new home. If you are the Hannies, you want event, you have everything, talk to people. Reach out to this girl, Desiree here. She's doing amazing work in creating database for creators, right? I'm serious. Reach out to her, get into her database, and wait for things that she's creating in a community that are going to change the whole landscape of entrepreneurship. So, Hanny, thank you.
No. Likewise, man. I think I'll do anything for that brotherhood and that relationship. That's 100%. So, yeah. So we'll go into questions. Anybody has any questions? We'll go in. Yeah. Any questions? Don't be afraid, guys. Just throw it out. Whatever you got, go and shoot it. Count on it. Go ahead.
I always seem to have a question at these events. Thank you so much for putting together such a powerhouse panel. So both David and Dakota talked about niching in, right? So Dakota, you talked about how your multifamily apartment buildings, you know the type of apartments that you're looking for. One of the examples you gave is you don't necessarily go for apartment buildings with elevators. And then, David, you also talked about the industry that you niche into, right? How does somebody come up with the messaging for their business, and how do they identify a niche that's going to increase their odds of success?
So there's a very simple formula for coming up with your, what I call market dominating position. It's very simple. I help X person get Y result without Z headache. Super simple. So I help home service businesses never miss a call without having to hire more people. So just simple formula. But then how do you like find the X? Like I help X person. That's where things get a little bit tricky. So number one, you can't get it right the first time. So you gotta try a few things and just, it's a volume game. You gotta do more. The second thing is you have to like have some sort of competence, right? You have to have some sort of expertise, whether it's through your own personal experience. So for example, I work with home services businesses because I ran a painting company for 5 years. So I've lived their world, I understand their pain. You have more credibility when you've lived their world, but that doesn't mean that's the only option. The next better option, if you've not lived that world, is you have to be like obsessed with that kind of customer. For whatever reason, it has to be an unhealthy obsession. So you have to be able to prove to them, it's like, I am obsessed by your problem just as much, if not more than you are. Then they will take you seriously. What does that mean? It means shadowing them. It means doing a bunch of customer interviews, going to all the trade show and all the events that industry hosts. Which means that you actually have to like or be interested in that industry in the first place. Because if you're not, then they're not going to take you seriously. I always find that the best way to pick your niche is based on something that you have personal experience in, whether it's because of a problem you were trying to solve for yourself, which is a very beautiful place because you're trying to solve that problem, or because of a role you did or some sort of work you did, profession you did, because you can just naturally say, hey, I know this space because X, Y, Z. So when you say I help X person get Y results, I know what I'm talking about. So I think that will help you. Hopefully that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it down to a science, but similarly, in real estate, there's really only a few. I shouldn't say that. There can be all kinds of niches, right? But for me, it's very simple. 3-story walk-ups, concrete construction through and through, 1950s or newer, no elevators, got to have a value-add opportunity. I have it down to a science. But that's always changing, right? Before it was something different. I've been doing this for 7 years, and so there's going to be different seasons, but because of my age, I'm 29 now, I just turned 29 in July, but oftentimes when you're trying to penetrate the multifamily space, like apartment block space, there's a lot of heavy hitters, there's a lot of big people, it's a difficult space to penetrate, and so I'm always having to sort of prove myself, and oftentimes people are like, well, how do we know you're going to get financing, or there's all kinds of pushback. So I've become an expert in that, right? I'm now consulting on many different things, and I'm doing crazy things for people and achieving things that, quite frankly, I don't know if anybody else even trying to do in that space. There's other, there's property managers that are dealing with rent regulations, which I'm getting into the technicality of it, so some of it's not going to make sense, but there's just, you kind of create your own space. And I'm kind of going all over the place, but to bring it back is, it can change, but try and just, what do you know really well? What fits your business? For me, it's multifamily, and even Patrick and I were chatting about it briefly of why I'm moving away from the smaller stuff to the bigger stuff and the benefits of that. But then become an expert in that. The reason I'm an expert, I just bought a 11 unit 2 weeks ago, and literally I was hosting an event. It was one of my free events. Usually I do occasionally some free events, and then I have paid events through NREIC. This was one of these free events, and I had a realtor walk through the door that followed me on LinkedIn of all places, and I had only been starting to share recently. And he was just like, hey man, I've got this apartment block. And I'm like, cool, tell me more. He's like, it's off market. I'm like, okay. He's like, it's in East Kildonan. It's a 3-story walk-up. It's a 1950s. I'm like, that's my jam. I'm like, how much is it? He's like, 1.2 million. I was like, doing the numbers in my head. I'm like, perfect, works for me. Following week, I was on site, had an offer in place, conditional, and like it was just down to a science. But the reason he actually brought that to me, and one of the value adds I was able to contribute back to him, was that he said, you clearly know this space. He's like, this is a building where rents are like $500 to $600. There's no, there's people that can buy it, but there's all these challenges that you have to go through to be able to turn a building like that around. We got to evict all the tenants, which has a whole slew of challenges and issues. We got to go take on this massive risk of carrying an empty building, gutting it, renovating it, and then filling it, and then refinancing it. And so being an expert in that has really allowed me to, although I'm young, and although there's a lot of people that don't think I might be able to execute on that, through the experience and the expertise, there's only one way you get that, and it's by doing it, right? And so that's another thing. I didn't have this one as scripted, but or as down to a science, but I hope it helps. Yeah.
Bro is doing Grant Cardone moves, man. Multifamily, come on, bro. 29 is pretty crazy, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, thank you for having me here. You guys have given great insight just on your panel and who you guys are individually. I just have one question to ask you gentlemen collectively. How did you guys find the confidence and the self-love to pursue your dreams and end up where you guys are at today?
Believe it or not, I was an angry man. And angry man to the point where my first daughter, every time I hold her, she would cry. This is a true story. And I had a question, why did I become a dad if I can't hold my daughter? Right? So to me, that was the catalyst. I'm like, okay, I gotta find out how to be a dad. And then Tony Robbins came, someone shared a YouTube with me where Tony Robbins said, it's not a must, it's a should. No, it's not a should, it's a must. Sorry, yeah, it's not a should, it's a must. What does it mean? If something hurts that bad, it's a must change, because otherwise generational curse is to repeat itself, right? And that moment I had no other way to immerse myself to say, okay, to figure out why, because I was angry at anything that moved. Even a tree, I would be mad at it, right? So the poor angel daughter, she could feel the energy, right? So to me, was that pivot moment. So then I made a choice that I needed to change me, not her, not anyone else. And I went on that path to find myself through that. That's how I found my calling to help. That's where my question, you playing small, how many people are hurting, right? Because you are the first who is hurting. That's why you think you're playing small. So if you don't make it a must to come out of that hurting, guarantee a generation is to be hurting again.
Are you wanting to hear from all of us?
I mean, you guys don't mind sharing.
Hanny, you're in charge.
I'll let you guys answer, but you guys take the charge.
All right, I can answer it as well. I'm having a brain fart all of a sudden. What was the question again? I had the answer. I still have the answer. Confidence and self-love, that's right. Yeah, so again, going back to broken family, to expand on that further, I had an abusive father physically, mentally. There's been all kinds of stories of police involvement and all these other things. So not to get into that, but like I said, for me is trying to break generations. And so for me, I got married young at 22. I've been married now for 6 years. The next step is children, but I've had to set a foundation before that step, and I've had a couple people here ask me if we're trying and these kinds of things, and so I wanted to make sure that we had set a foundation for that. And then because of that, I had no other choice. I have nothing to fall back on. I don't have a strong family background. I don't have any other support. I don't have financial support. I dropped out of university because I couldn't self-fund my education. An architecture program is long, it's extensive, it's a lot of work, and if you want to do anything, you got to get your master's, which to me was looking like 12 years, and there was no way I was going to do that. And so you don't start with confidence. You develop it through the reps. And so for me, it was just like, and still to this day, there's consulting clients, and I take things on that I don't even know, quite frankly, what I'm doing. But I have the confidence to know that I'm going to do whatever it takes to figure it out. And in doing that, I build that confidence to then solve that problem, and I can do that again and again and again. And so it's getting clear on what you're looking for out of life, getting clear on what you want out of life, and then not having any confidence at all, being humble and just getting started, and then building those reps time and time, and getting punched in the face, and going through, like, I've gone through some pretty crazy trials. I'm still actually wrapping up probably one of the most difficult ones that I've gone through in my life. And I still lose confidence, but then I get through that, and then you go to the next level. So I don't know if that answers it, but kind of, yeah.
You guys pretty much covered a bunch of same steps, but a big one to develop the self-love and confidence specifically is you want to make some sort of like self-love and confidence routine, right? So part of going out weekly is going to build your confidence because you're putting yourself out there. And one thing, the secret, to tell you guys, I do to my paid clients, is every time you do something hard, whether it's, maybe for you guys, it's talking to that next person, maybe just starting that conversation, or giving that call to action to that client, like, hey, I want to work with you. Regardless of the result, you want to tell yourself, like 1,000 out of 10, who has the guts to do that, right? And this is going to train you that, like, whatever you do, you're rewarding yourself, putting yourself out there. The next part is, treat yourself like how you would your future child, right? Like, feed into that confidence. Like, take yourself out on like a date or do something fun for yourself once a week at least, and then just have that time with yourself where you breathe that confidence, where you're actually pouring into your cup. Because a lot of us here, especially the ones that want to be business owners, we're so already focused on helping the other person. And I get it. I came from a place similar to everyone here where we're trying to fill up our own cups, right? You have that chip on your shoulder. That's going to get you from point A to point B. Point B to point C is, and I've had this experience where on paper, I should have been already happy. I had the money, I had the relationships, I was doing awesome things, people were wanting to work with me, but I was still not happy. And it wasn't until I sat down with myself and be like, what is it actually that I want? And make a list of all your accomplishments. And again, if you're spiritual, whether you believe in God or not, I'm not trying to convert anyone, but for me it was like thanking God for all those things. Because it wasn't just me, right? There's times where you'll get trial, you'll get tested, and at the moment you'll feel like your career, your business should have ended right there. But you're still here. And sometimes you need that reminder, like, I went through that shit. I'm still here. I'm still able to offer value, and then that's going to give you the gratitude, the self-confidence, and just keep repeating that, and then you'll walk into places being like, yeah, I went through some stuff, I'm still here, I'm here to share, and that's going to breathe that energy into the world.
All right, I think I will just be very brief with my answer. For me, Simon Sinek, I had a book called Start With Why, so I definitely would suggest reading that book. And when you start with why, for me, I do a lot of journaling, and one of my things is, if nothing was in my way, what's the biggest thing I could go for? Like, how can I make a dent on the universe? Like, I always think very big. And for me, when I came up with an answer, this was 7 years ago when I was still at university, it was I want to build a space company. It sounded insane, but I was like, why not? Like, no one from Winnipeg has ever built a space company before. Heck, no one from Canada. Exactly, literally. So I was like, okay, big goal. If I want to build a space company, what does a guy who built a space company in 15 years, what is he doing in year 1 already? Oh, he's learning software. Okay, cool. He's having a real business experience, so he knows how to actually make money. And then he's building skills so that by year 5, he's got into this milestone, and then by year 10, he's gone to that milestone. I'm being unapologetic about my goal. I love myself, that I allow myself to dream whatever big dream that I want to dream. It's like, I'm not going to be apologetic for my dreams. My dreams are my dreams, and they're mine, and I own them, and I want them, and I've been obsessed with them for many years, so they're not like a flimsy thing. So you got to figure out for you, what's that big why, and don't be apologetic about it. Like, it can be big, it can be small, it doesn't matter. It has to be yours. And the self-love is respecting yourself enough to be like, I'm going to go after this damn thing. But also being practical is like, okay, how long will it take me to get there? Where do I have to be now, 3 years, 4 years, to actually be on track to hit that goal? And that is why I have a software company, because I realized part of starting a space company, I need to understand software. Now, my next milestone is I need to go into hardware, because to build a space company, you got to know hardware too. I've mastered the software part, and I need to go hire smart guys to help me master hardware. So that's kind of how I think about things, starting with why.
You guys got a lot of... You guys got a lot of great answers, man. I think you talk about confidence. For me, is I talked about earlier. I had to look at my past. So growing up, my father actually, he was he's no longer with my mom, but they separated when I was about 9 years old when we came to Canada. But I realized that a lot of the things that were happening in my life was because of what she'd been through. So he was always eating by himself. He was always not trying to invest into the family. And I realized a lot of those things, as I got older, reflected on me, right? But as I grew up in Winnipeg, I seen that, I was isolated. I didn't want to be around nobody because my mom always put me in the room. She like, you got to go in there, put yourself there and don't come out there, right? So these are things that I had to sort of, remove. The only way I did that was I had to, like I said earlier, I had to remove my subconscious mind. I had to reprogram it, right? So, and then Coach Mike talks about this, if you guys don't know, courage comes before confidence, right? So I knew that in order for me to go to that next stage in my life and my business, I had to do things that were going to scare me. So Dakota was talking about, you got to go through the bruises. And when I got into sales, I realized that people are not going to say yes to you right away. It's going to take maybe 100 calls. Maybe it's going to take 200 calls, right? And the more you start putting yourself out there, you build more confidence. And so for me, it's just talking to people. I really just, I realized that if I went up to you and said, hey, how you doing? I started getting out of my box. So for me, that's how I was able to discover that. And I just had to remember where I came from. I had to look at my past, right, to sort of see what my future is going to look like. So that's how I was able to grow that confidence. And then love, man, I think it's like Patrick was talking about, being a young entrepreneur, someone who wants to hustle and grind. There isn't that much, you're not really, because you're looking for that next opportunity. You're an entrepreneur, especially when you're young. You got a lot on your plate. I actually started entrepreneurship at the age of 20 years old. So I've been doing this for the last 6 years. So I missed out on a lot of the parties, a lot of the going out with friends, having fun. Because I realized by the time I graduated high school, I seen all my friends who were at the parties, they were at the scenes. I actually went into those environments and I realized that taught me what my dad was doing, right? That's the sort of the things he was doing. So I realized a lot of that reflected on me. So I had to look back at my past. And then when I started putting things into my mindset and investing into me, reading books and just figuring out the other side of the world, finding my passion. And I just realized, just being an athlete as well too, I realized that I'm very competitive. So how do I use that to my advantage, right? And so, that's why I got into sales. I realized it just amplified even more. And then my confidence started to grow. So I'd probably say, that's probably what it was. And then the love piece is like, you gotta find something that you really like. And sometimes too, being young, a lot of people would tell you to get into these relationships, right? There's so many people that tell you do this, do that. But I think it's more about, I like to call attract, don't chase. So if you attract things, right, things are going to come to you. I find that a lot of people are chasing the next thing, the next business opportunity, the next relationship, but then they realize why they're not where they are. So if you let God take care of the rest and you just put in the work, you realize things are going to just transform in your life. And so for me, that's what I've been doing. I've just been sort of taking care of me, and I realized if things happen, then they happen. But if I chase things, then I know that those were not meant for me. So that's kind of why I tell you, just look at your past and then create that. Mubarak talks about his company is called Paradigm Shifters, by the way. You have to create that paradigm shift, and I think if you create it, then for sure you're going to create generations to come, right? Because you have to be that person to do it, though. My mom still to this day, she's like, why not just go get a job? Why are you still doing this? And sometimes too, you might not make money. People think that, like you look at Amazon, for example, they were not profitable for about 10 years. I studied principles, right? So when I got into the game of business, I started looking at, okay, who are these people? How did they become successful? What are the principles I have to follow, right? And a lot of them was just work ethic, right? Discipline, right? Integrity, right? And just showing up, and you realize the world expands. And so for me, that's what I do. I probably say is study what people are doing, successful people you want to be like, and get in those rooms. They say like attract like. Say same thing with business. You hang around an entrepreneur, someone who's in sales. Well, my boy Steve Sedka is in here, I think somewhere. Me and him are always going back and forth because he's passionate, and I'm very passionate, and that's what it is. I think that's where love comes from. It's just from people. And if you isolate yourself, it becomes like you put yourself in a box. And so the more you put yourself out there, it becomes more fun. It becomes natural. You know what I mean? That's how I think about it. So we'll probably take like But one more question or something, because Patrick got to get going, so we got to get some pictures. Okay.
So, thanks so much for sharing your journey. I noticed that as you mentioned about expanding, getting into new goals, fixating on more money and stuff like that, how do you hold yourself accountable to buy back your time and achieve a work-life balance?
That's a very good question. I think for me, work-life balance is a myth. I think it's work-life integration. So I think if you put things together, like I'm an athlete, I play sports, so I'm always in the gym every day. I wake up 6 a.m. I go to the gym and I just hoop. I'll be in there by myself. I just do that because it's a mental thing. And so people realize what's your edge? That's your edge right there, because you're waking up, you're playing a sport that you like. You're not just always thinking about business, so I just turn everything off. I'll just be in the court, just playing basketball. And I think about me being a kid. You know what I mean? What are those things that I was doing? So I'm always like dreaming. So I think it's work-life integration, because if you focus on balance, like David was talking about earlier, a customer is going to call you or going to text you at 11 p.m. You know, most people are probably sleeping, but David is up because he's hungry. He wants to win. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's the mindset is like, if you want, I was listening to Andy Frisella. This guy is built like a multi-billion-dollar company, right? And he says a lot of people think that these successful people, as they get more successful, they think that they're gonna get comfortable. They want, but your desire, you want more because you want to win, right? And so if you want to win, I think you're gonna be around people that are sort of want more in their life. And I think for me, I've just realized now it's like if you want the balance, then you probably most likely will get a job, and it's okay. But if that's what you want, then that's what it is. I think we have to know what we want, and if that's what we want, then it's okay. But as an entrepreneur, you wake up every single day, you're unemployed. So if you know that in the back of your mind, that you know that you got to wake up and you have to go do something. You have to create value. You have to, talk to your customers. And I think once you know that, that's what you want, then the balance just becomes in between. Now you're playing sports. Now you're playing business. Sometimes you're networking. So it's all a game at every single stage. I think that's how I look at life, and it's just work-life integration.
A big one for staying accountable is have people ahead of you, or people that you respect so much that you cannot fail. Example for me would be like my mentors. I don't hire mentors to make me feel great. A lot of my mentors would just yell at me and just tell me like, you're screwing up on this, fix this, fix this. Okay, you're doing awesome this. You're messing up on this, fix this, fix this. Right? So I will delegate the accountability. Same thing with my wife, right? Like I want to do well for her, and then I want to do well for my future kids. It has to be something above and more important than just you. It could be your future self. And then for work-life balance, I'm in the boat where I look at work-life balance as a whole. So there'll be seasons. I don't necessarily want to optimize for money. I want to optimize for living the life that I get to live. Right now I get to DJ, right? Is DJing paid? Most people? No. But it allows me to put more events, meet more people, and I like it, right? So there's a lot of content out there to just optimize for money. That's fine. Once you learn that, and you know you can make money, and you can actually be a rate maker, then you don't need to worry about it. You can literally take the same skills that you already have and transfer it to any other business. A big one's going to be your sales and marketing. Doesn't matter where you go. If you can make money on the phone or in person, like you will never starve. And then after that, you can figure out what you actually want. I don't know.
Yeah, accountability part. I'm going to say the following. So as a summary, first and foremost for me when I was getting started is I wanted to look in the mirror every day and ask myself between me and me, basically, did I do my best today? And if I said no, then I had to ask myself, what area did I fall short? And that's how I kind of held myself accountable. Beyond that, in terms of the other question, which was work-life balance. So a few people here have said integration. From the start, I'll share a bit of a story because it's going to add context. So I met my wife when I was 21. We got married at 22. All I knew was work. My whole identity was work. I would work 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 6 a.m. to midnight, like on a healthy obsession. I wouldn't eat 3 meals a day. I'd lock myself in wherever my space was that I was working for 2-3 days. And it got to the point where I was a recently married husband and I would always be prioritizing work around my wife or just as a whole. And it was almost as though work was my idol. And my wife kept coming to me and saying, this has got to change. Like, I need you to value our marriage as well. And it basically got to a point where one day, I forget what had taken place, but the impact of this specific situation was what has left its mark. Is I think I was overworking, or I might have been late to something, and I walked through the door and my wife was in tears and she was breaking down, and she's just like, we're Christians, so we're not going to divorce, but I guess I'm going to be in an unhappy marriage for the rest of my life. And like, I'm tearing up right now. That broke me. And as a man, when you go through these things over and over again, sometimes you make your best effort, and yes, I was making an effort, but obviously not a big enough effort. And so through that, I had to make that change. And from that day forward, I didn't care about work-life balance. I put in work when I put in work. I prioritize my wife when I prioritize my wife. I prioritize family when I am prioritizing family. Whatever the case is. And so in terms of work-life balance, I don't take calls when I'm home. You don't need to reach me. Plain and simple. I'm here with my wife. I'm here with my family. I will return that call. Communication expectations are important as well. So for example, if I'm closing a deal, that's going to take priority because that's how I feed my family. So when I go home and we're in the process of closing a deal, my wife knows she needs to give me space. She's going to take what she needs to over from my plate that evening. We always cook meals together every night. We do that kind of stuff. So if that's that kind of night, I let her know, hey, tonight's one of those nights. I'm going to go make money. I got to close this deal. She steps in where she needs to step in. And that's that, right? And so it's about really being committed and quality time. When you're here, do this. When you're there, do that. I also have faith behind me, so what I've come to learn as well is no matter how much work I put in, it's irrelevant because it's all in God's control. And He's going to make the impossible possible and the possible impossible if it's not meant for me. So at the end of the day, that's something that's really helped me grow, and that's been sort of a development in the last year or so in terms of really just surrendering everything to Him.
So I believe most truths in life are never a simple answer. Like, there's always that duality. It's never like this or that. So when it comes to balance, I feel the same way. I think we sometimes we're in different seasons of life where you just have to hustle. You just gotta do what you gotta do. And there is no balance. And you should not try to find balance. But of course, that's not sustainable over time. Now, when you are going out of a season of life where you are going hard, which I've experienced a lot, it's not sustainable over time, and that is where systems come in. So we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. So it's very important that you have systems. What does that mean? Once you've done a lot of hustle, you realize what works. You want to build systems around what works. That might mean delegating it to somebody else with a clear instructions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, find a VA in the Philippines, whatever, to delegate that specific task. Now you have that off your plate, you don't have to do that work anymore. So the way I always do things is I work hard to understand what works, and that could take a year, it could take 2 weeks, it doesn't matter. I put in the reps to get that worked, and I build systems out of that, and I delegate that to someone or to technology with specific instructions. And then over time, you realize you have systems for everything. Systems for generating leads, systems for finding new connections, systems for finding money, systems for boom, boom, boom. And that is when your life becomes super easy, because you don't have to like worry about every single detail to get what you want. You just fall back to your systems. Now your systems might go out of, they might need updating every now and then as technologies change, as the market change, but at least you have a framework that you can fall back on to improve them. So again, remember, we don't rise to the level of our goals. Everybody sets goals, but it's our systems that differentiate those who reach their goals to those who do not.
Yeah, I wanted to end with this. For me, is that it's a principle called first principle, right? It's a way to look at any situation and you reverse it to what he says, to an absolute truth. Meaning absolute truth, meaning that everybody in this room, you're a unique individual with unique circumstances. Okay? The key, which I have told, I don't know how many times I've told Hanny this, what is it that you don't want? Forget about what you want. What is it that you don't want? If you can master that list of what you don't want, automatically your list of what you want appears. Then when you do that, guess what? Communicate it. All the unbalance we have in life is a lack of communication. It's nothing else. It has worked for me, it has worked for my clients. We think we have been taught to communicate, but we don't. Why? Because we don't know ourselves. How can you communicate when you don't know yourself? So if you can do that exercise of finding out what you don't want, automatically you find out what you want, then now you know who you are. Because who you are is the balance of those, what you want and what you don't want. And then get out, communicate it. Balance or unbalance will fall in place.
That's powerful stuff. First principles. I think I was talking about principles earlier, but yeah, I think time is almost 9. I think we're getting very passionate. So thank you everybody for coming out. Like I said, this is amazing. Who would ever thought, reaching out to Dakota saying, "Hey, bro, want to come on the Hanny Lounge?" He's like, "Yeah, man. What time is it? When is it?" Boom. Same thing with David. Reach out to him. You want to come out? He's like, "Yeah, man, for sure." And then same thing with Patrick. Emin Mubarak. That's the power of showing up. These people, they see an opportunity, they take it right away. They don't even think about it. They don't say, just tell me where is it, when is it happening, and I put it in my calendar. I think you can learn a lot from that. And so if you're just starting, or if you got a startup, any opportunity you see out there, man, take it, man, because you never know. You never know what things can happen. And like I said, the universe will make things come back. We might look back on this from 5 years from now and we'll be like, wow, something remarkable happened. And so you plant those small little seeds in your business, in your life. Some people here are married, and you realize that things really expand. So, like I said, let's keep doing this. The community is really growing. Like I said, table space for anybody who's young, who just wants to get into business. We have a content shoot upstairs. We also have a co-working space down here. If you also want to host an event, you're more welcome to do that. Like I said, we want to grow this out. And so, yeah. So thank you so much. We're going to get a group preacher.